in this final lesson, let's add some materials to all of our objects. So for my project, or for this project, in my mind, I want to have kind of just sort of a white material for all these pieces, and then have sort of a material that stands out more for the text. Feel free as you go through this to create your own materials, your own colors, and make it look the way that you want. So what I want to do is go ahead and create an interactive render region just to take a look at a section of this. So maybe in here, to get an idea of this, let's go ahead and create a new material, and we'll just call this base material. And one of the things that I want to have on this base material is I want it to sort of darken around the edges. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and in the color, I'm going to go into the Fresnel and then jump in here. And now I'm going to modify this gradient. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this gradient, and this is giving me kind of close to what I want here, but I don't want it to be completely black. I just want to darken it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and make this sort of a gray, just to add a little bit of darkness there around the edges to make the letters sort of stand out a little bit more. Okay, now we can go ahead and set the color here to not quite bright white, maybe take it down just a notch. And you want to apply the material to all of the pieces. So I'm going to apply it to the word sweep. Okay, I'm going to apply it to the sweep NURBS. And also apply it to explosion and the background letters as well. Okay, everything but the text at the beginning, or at the front rather. Now for the letters on the front, I want to start with the same material, so I'm going to control drag this material, but I'll change the name of it to something like front material. And let's assign that to our motext, which is our words up here at the front. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. It should be this motext up here. Okay, and we want to actually animate this material. So if we go ahead and jump into our material here, I'm going to go ahead and turn on luminance, take that value down. Let's turn on reflection and take that value down. Okay, and let me turn off our render region here. So when these letters are on or incorporated in the sort of sweep back here, we want the material to be the same. Okay, so under luminance, I'm going to go ahead and key the color and the brightness, and then I'm going to go also in the reflection, go ahead and key the brightness as well. Okay, so now as this comes on, I want to actually transition to a more reflective look and a color. So under luminance, I'll go ahead and get kind of a blue, and I'll increase the brightness a little bit. And maybe get kind of a darker blue. Okay, and we can always change this color later. But I will key the brightness and the color. And then on the reflection, I'll go ahead and key the reflection. Okay, and you can do a render at this point and see what that actually is going to look like. So if we just do a quick render, and we can kind of already see that that's still pretty light, so I'm also going to key just the color. So under color, we can go ahead and just make sure that we set an initial key, and then at the end, I'll change this color to more of a blue color. and key that. And you want to make sure I keyed this color, but you want to make sure that you, in this case, since we're using a Fresnel, you want to actually put that color into the Fresnel. Okay, so I'm going to again go back here. Let's key the gradient. If you want to keep that Fresnel, you could replace it with just a straight color. And then come in here and add your blue color. And then if you wanted to kind of lighten that up, or make it kind of a blue-gray, you could do that, and then key the gradient. Okay? So now you have those changes happening gradually over time through this process here. Okay? So then when you turn, make sure to turn everything on here. And I don't need that on. And then you scrub through it. You can see everything's working okay. So then what you want to do to actually save this out, or render it out rather, you can go into your render settings, and you've got your output. You can set the frame rate. You can set the frame range, which in this case we've just been rendering a current frame. So in order to render our animation, we're going to set this frame range to all frames. Okay, so you can set that size if you want to change the size. You can also choose to save it out, so you can choose a file name if you want to, and so we can just call this something like broadcast save, and then you can choose the way that the naming happens and also the file format and so forth. Okay, so you set all that up in here. You want to just make sure that you have the frame range set 0 to 150, all frames by 1 frame. And then when you come in and say render to picture viewer, it's going to go ahead and start rendering that. Okay, now this is going to take quite a while to render each one of these frames. And so let's go ahead and take a look at one that we've already gone ahead and rendered. So if we just take a look at this, this is going to be slightly different, but you'll get the idea. So you can see the letters scattered in the background. Here's our initial ball here. And let me just decrease the size a bit. And so let's play through this and see what this looks like. So you can see the letters forming here. The explosion happens. Let me go ahead and stop this render. And we'll stop rendering. So once you've got that rendered out, you can go in, it'll show up in your picture viewer, and you can play through it. So we've got the letter explosion, we've got all the letters flowing along this sweep, along with the sweep shape, and then we've got these letters forming out from this shape and then conforming and sort of matching up. Okay, so this is really just a quick look at MoGraph here in Cinema 4D, but it is one of the important aspects if you do have that in your particular package. And it is available in Broadcast and in Studio, I believe, but not in Prime or Visualize. So depending on your version, the package that you have of Cinema 4D, these tools may be available to you. All right. So that brings us to the conclusion of this section of our Introduction to Cinema 4D, and also the conclusion of our entire Introduction to Cinema 4D. So thanks so much for joining us for this introduction to Cinema 4D. Hopefully you've got a much stronger foundation now and gone through kind of a good overview of everything available to you in Cinema 4D so that you can get started immediately producing work and integrating that into your own workflow. Now, if you'd like to proceed from here, we have a lot of training on the site that is going to be really helpful to you. If you're interested in modeling, make sure to check out the Introduction to Modeling in Cinema 4D. Plus, we have a lot of modeling training specifically for certain projects, automobiles and characters and things like that. If you're more interested in maybe materials and texturing, try out rendering interiors in Cinema 4D. And if you're interested in rigging, you might try the Introduction to Character Rigging in Cinema 4D. And in addition to that, we do have a lot more rigging training as well. If you're more interested in the animation portion, you can try the Introduction to Animation in Cinema 4D to get up and running there. And if you're more interested in lighting and rendering, you might try the Introduction to Rendering in Cinema 4D. And what we just went over, the MoGraph functionality in Cinema 4D. If you're interested in that, we do have a great Introduction to MoGraph course that you can go through. And one thing I do want to point you toward is something called Learning Paths. And Learning Paths can be accessed from our software product pages. So if you go to Cinema 4D product page, you'll be able to see something called Learning Paths at the bottom of the category list. If you go ahead and click on Learning Path, you can see that there's a number of different learning paths available. We've got a modeling learning path, how to get started, rigging, animation. So if you click on any of these, for instance, modeling, you'll be able to see that the modeling courses are listed out sort of in a suggested order and difficulty level. So you can see the courses that we suggest you proceed through once you've gone through the Introduction to Cinema 4D, and kind of based on the difficulty level and what tools are covered and things like that. So definitely check out the learning paths once you're trying to figure out which way to go after you've completed this Introduction to Cinema 4D. Okay, and these courses are just a few of the hundreds of courses that you can view instantly at digitaltutors.com.